Dive fins are getting really clever today, and if you're in the market for a tough pair of fins with a bend in them that's also easy to pack in pretty much any bag, then you should check out the Scubapro S-Tek fins. Hi all of you awesome scuba divers out there, welcome to the Scuba Diver Magazine channel, your favourite place for the latest scuba diving news and gear reviews. The new Scubapro S-Tek fins are an upgraded classic vented fin with Scubapro's MFS or modular fin system that allows you to disconnect the blade from the foot pocket for easier packing. So one of the biggest problems for traveling with fins is that you do want this aggressive downward angle for efficiency, but it makes for an awful shape to try and fit in a bag. So Scubapro effectively cut the fins in half, which has a few benefits, including letting you swap the foot pocket if you dive different boot sizes. So if you go from a wetsuit to a dry suit boot or something, you need to go up a size, or if you're diving somewhere that you don't need boots at all, you can swap the whole foot section for a full foot or a different size foot pocket. Instead of having two completely separate pairs of fins, you just swap the foot pocket. They also have trim weights. One of the key facts about a new pair of fins that divers are the most interested in is how buoyant are they, whether they're going to make your feet sink or make them float. They want to know if their fins themselves are going to float or sink, and with most fins, that's just a fixed number. As soon as you take it out of the bag, that's it. But with the S-Tek, you can add or remove these little metal plates to make the fin more or less buoyant. Great for switching between like fresh and salt water, or just kind of fine-tuning the fins to your personal preference. But first, let's see how they arrive and what comes with them. Scuba.com is your one-stop shop for everything underwater. Whether you're a seasoned scuba diving pro or just starting to explore the wonders of the deep, Scuba.com has everything that you need. Browse their extensive selection of scuba and snorkeling equipment from leading brands. Find masks, fins, BCDs, wetsuits and regulators and everything else that you need for a comfortable and safe dive. Scuba.com's team consists of highly trained and experienced professionals who have dived all over the world. Get personalized recommendations for the perfect gear, no matter your diving destination or style. Ready to take the plunge? Scuba.com offers scuba diving classes from all levels, from beginner open water diver certification to advanced technical diving courses. If you're looking for the ultimate underwater adventure, Scuba.com curates diving trips around the globe to exotic destinations. Dive into a world of possibilities with Scuba.com. So this is how they arrive in a fabric bag. It wouldn't be a Scubapro product if it didn't have a giant S stamped on it somewhere. Drawstring closure, you got a little tag with the barcode and everything on it there. On the inside, you obviously get a pair of fins, unless something terrible has gone wrong with your order. On the inside of the fins, they have the little cardboard inserts to stop them from crushing, but you can recycle those. And yeah, you also get a little MFS tool. I'm sure it's got an official name, but it's very useful for these fins because all these little parts have a specific purpose, and I think there is an instruction manual somewhere that you can use to kind of do it, but you can work it out yourself. Like this bit is a little hook for kind of hooking out the MFS little clips. You get some replacement clips because they're plastic. This bit you use to change the spring heel strap or the bungee heel strap. That is a useful tool to hold onto that. But that's it. So let's take a closer look at the fins themselves. End to end, at the very tip of the fins, you have this little cutout vent. This and this section here are the Hydra Loop ramped and reinforced leading edges that improve lateral rigidity for improved alternate kicks. Plus it creates a hydrofoil. which just helps to improve the thrust. So it's all aiming to reduce drag, because this area specifically is quite a high drag area, and right on the tip of the blade as well, it helps to just dissipate some of that drag. It's a bit of a hook you can kind of hang them on, but I'd be hanging them by the thumb loop at the far end. Quite smooth. Otherwise, we're getting really into a more traditional, like vented jet fin style blade with nice chunky rails. And if you flip the fin over, that's where the metal plates fit. They're just sheets of stainless steel that each weigh 79 grams with 2 holes for retaining bolts. One of them has the Scubapro S lasered into it, whilst the second one is just plain stainless steel. All you need is a 3mm Allen key to remove those bolts. I would keep an eye on them though, and grease the plates all over to stop them from rusting. But you can dive with just nothing. You can remove them altogether. There's a little plastic retaining pin, so remove that, or a retaining plate. Keep that nice and safe. But if you dive with nothing whatsoever, they're quite a buoyant fin that floats on the surface. If you use a single plate, it's near neutrally buoyant, at least in fresh water, or you can use 2 metal plates for a negatively buoyant fin that sinks, depending on what water you're diving in. It is really not quite as simple, but you get the idea that they're going for. I tried them out personally in freshwater. The foot pocket, that's the really floaty part. Without any weights, it floats flat on the surface. In fresh water, it sinks fairly readily. If you give it a push, it just goes down, but then eventually bobs back up. With 2, then yeah, it does start to sink. Chunky rails and vents down the fin guide the water in the right direction and give you great like horizontal control. So if you're turning, doing helicopter turns, or like reverse as well, if you're doing some back kicking, very, very strong here. They work well in flutter kicks, yeah, turning and back kicks, but they don't feel as strong for frog kicks compared to some other fins, which I was a little surprised at. The fins themselves, they are pretty stiff compared to some fins, where they do flex. From about here to around here, they're completely rigid, because they need rigid inserts in this monoprene for this MFS joint, so that isn't going to flex and break. Moving up to that, it uses the shore lock connecting system to hold the blade onto the fin. You hook that supplied blue tool, or just like a flathead screwdriver, underneath this notch. Lever it out, there's one on each side, and then the blade just pulls out from the foot pocket really easily. That's not a hassle. Replacing them, just as easy. You pop them in. When you go to put the MFS like retaining plastic clips back in, there is a left and a right hand clip with a small pin that you can't mix and match, so you have to get the right one, and if you break one, then you have to get a correct replacement. The foot pocket is fairly unremarkable. It's got a higher instep, so it gets your foot right in there. It's very reminiscent of the Seawing Nova, with a long heel as well that continues back a bit further than quite a lot of other fins. It does have some nice vents on the underside to eliminate suction, and these lighter grey areas are a more squidgy, grippy material to help with grip on wet deck. There is that aggressive like 30-degree bend to the blade, which does bend the fin a bit if you're trying to shuffle around on flat surfaces, but it does increase efficiency in the water, which is where it really counts. And at the back, you have a bungee heel strap with a big thumb loop to grab onto, so you can get into your fins single-handedly. The bungee has 3 attachment points on each side. For slight adjustments, you can tighten it or loosen it a bit, and the blue tool make that very easy to remove this otherwise stubborn pin. And if you want to replace that 7mm bungee, you can. You just have to like pop a little plate out and just fit a new one into it. For specs, this particular pair that I've been given are a size large. They measure 557 millimeters in length, excluding the heel strap, sorry, and 227 millimeters at the widest point down here on the blade. Each fin weighs in at 994 grams without any of the weight plates. So it's just shy of 2 kilos. It's like 1.95 kilograms for a pair of fins without the metal plates. Other size fins, when you go smaller or larger, of course that's going to vary. And on that, as far as the size chart on Scubapro's website, it is spot on. I'm a UK 10 and they fit perfectly with my 5mm boot, and large is the exact size that they recommend. So the size chart, as far as I can tell, is spot on. The blade itself does come in 2 sizes, one for sizes extra small, small and medium that they call a midi, I think. And then they do a different one. You can tell because it states it here, this one's maxi. So this is the larger of the 2 blade options. So that's for the large and extra large style fins. So if you are mixing and matching, you do have to be careful of that. 3 colors so far that I could find online: standard black, a nice and bright orange color, and white as well. But colors and sizes are often regional and they do change over time, so they may not be available where you are. The open heel pocket comes in 5 sizes and there's a full foot version as well, so you can mix and match. But yeah, do be careful that it does work with the midi or the maxi blade itself. As far as fin kit quality, S-Tek is strong in a standard flutter kick and helicopter turns, but as I said earlier, it does feel a little off with frog kicks, which is odd because that really should be the bread and butter for a vented fin style. They're surprisingly buoyant without any of the plates in freshwater, and a pair only makes them slightly negative in freshwater. They do sink. They're not plummeting down to the bottom, but I was expecting a bit more negatively buoyant. It's mainly down to that foot pocket that was really floaty for me, but that might have been like air being trapped in the bungee. Could have been something like that for me. They're going to be great for travel because of that blade separation technology. It does add to their weight though. I don't think they're quite as heavy as a pair of classic jet fins, but they are still pretty heavy, especially with those metal plates. At first, I was really excited to play with these because that's very unique, as is the separation technology. I was a little disappointed when my analytical mind started looking for potential faults and holes in things, but then I started to enjoy them again. A recommended retail price of £205 or $300 does make this a premium fin, but it is a feature-rich fin. Most are just a fin, that's it. Take it or leave it. With this, you can adjust this, you can adjust this, you can adjust this. There's lots of features on it. Things that I didn't like, the analytical side of my brain came up with. The weight plates, they're made from steel. And they do stick together with rust between them if you just leave them in place between dives. There's only so much that you can dry them without physically unscrewing them between each dive, drying between them and then putting them back. There is a black film on one of them, which I presume is there to prevent sticking, but that clearly didn't work. The next time, I'd probably grease them, the entire thing, just to help prevent them from sticking and rusting. If you only use a single plate, you're not using both of them, then there's a few mil gap between the head of the screw and the single plate. So when you kind of wobble it around, it flaps a bit, which just kind of bugs me for a lack of precision. The plate that they screw into is just plastic. So if you're constantly changing them, you might end up chewing that plastic section up before long and you need to replace it. The same problem with the MFS clips. You can see why they give you a few spares in that blue tool, because even with the tool, you can bend the plastic, and I bent it myself just trying to get it out. And the tool itself, it has this spiky ring, which I'm sure has a purpose for something, but the purpose that I found was to actually hurt my thumb, because that's where I naturally press to lever the clip out, and it ends up just creating indents on my thumb. The bungee heel strap, I'd prefer to see a metal spring, but there's an argument that you can repair this or replace it in the field if you have just some spare bungee, as opposed to a complete metal spring assembly. And the thumb loop is a pretty soft material that I feel that could break after a while if you're too rough with it. I suppose if you're conscious of it and you're not too rough with your equipment, then it's perfectly fine. But yeah, my mind just kind of went, oh, that's quite squidgy, but hey, that's just my over analytical mind going. Otherwise, yeah, they honestly are a really tough pair of fins. Scubapro's monoprene has honestly stood the test of time since their Seawing Supernovas, no, just the Seawing Novas. And they're used in a bunch of their fins nowadays, and even their BCDs as well. If you travel a lot, and you travel light, like a real backpack light, then these are gonna be a great idea. Or if you find that just bent fins awkward to pack in a suitcase because of that angle, it sticks away from the wall or the bottom, or there's just a lot of wasted space, then the MFS is perfect. You can just separate them. I have seen on some divers forums, they're customizing their fins by changing the orientation of the weights, by flipping them around, and they reckon that improves the performance. I haven't had a chance to test that out, but yeah, a lot of divers are just customizing this whole area slightly, and they're finding some improvements. But hey, who are they for? They're really for the traveling diver who wants a stiff, short fin. If you do most of your diving at home and you don't really travel that much, then you're probably not going to get the most out of the modular fin system. If you do dive in tight, confined spaces, they will be a good option. Or if you wear different boots and you don't want two pairs of fins, you just want to swap over that foot pocket, then yeah, you can really make the most of that modular foot pocket. But what do you think about them? Let me know down in the comments below what you think about the S-Tek fins, and any questions that you have about them, pop them down in the comment section. Remember to subscribe to the channel here if you're new, and let me know if there's any other piece of dive equipment that you want my opinions on. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.